don't know what the hell's going on with some of these video games nowadays, man. It's really crazy. Now, I do want to look at, yeah, we can look at, I guess let's just look at it right now since we're talking about video games. So this is coming out, I guess this is part of a showcase that they're going to be putting out tomorrow. So Crimson Desert. Crimson Desert, we've heard about Black Desert. This is the same developer, but it's more of a single-player focused game. I don't know if there's going to be any synchronous gameplay like Monster Hunter or anything like that. I have no idea. But what I do know is this is a game coming out, and it's going to have at least a focus on single-player. So yeah, we're going to take a look at it, and this is a boss fight, actually, or actual real boss fight. Let's take a look at it. Here we go. On a baseline note, this game has looked good enough to where, like, it's a good single-player game so far. Let's see this. Okay.
Are those the kids over there?
The townsfolk will suffer his deathly wrath.
All right.
The spirit will punish us all.
All right.
Halt! What? This don't concern you, outsider.
Where are the kids?
He's here to take the spirit's children. Kill him quick before we incur his wrath.
Okay.
We cannot let him take the children.
This is just a cinematic. This is fun. Oh wow. Okay. Cool. Nice. Okay.
Where are the kids?
So you can like talk to people or kill them?
You got any idea
That's
what
cool.
you're doing?
I think.
The spirit will punish us all. Why on? The spirit of the mountain! Over there!
Is that the Yeti?
We've all gone and doomed ourselves!
Yeah, it's the Yeti.
Shit.
Yeah. That's clever. I like when things like that happen in video games and they make sense. It's like a really small thing, but it makes it feel like you're in an experience. Let me, I'm gonna do as much as I can, right? It's okay. It's not great, it's okay. They got a mini-map where my camera is, by the way. Okay, okay. All right. Okay.
Damn it.
Let me guess his face too. Yeah, he got a full health bar again. He dead now? Yeah, it looks like he dead. Yeah, he probably dead now.
See why the bandits were scared to death.
All right. Yeah, I think this is like a 6 or a 7, to be honest with you guys. I don't think it's really that good. I want to talk about some of the reasons why I kind of have a little bit of criticism for this. Is that, like, for example, whenever you're trying to dodge out of something, and there's like things that are falling from the sky that like it impacts your character's movement and it impairs your character's movement, and there's no indicator, they just happen randomly. I feel like that's an annoying game mechanic. It's just fucking obnoxious. And so, like, if you get hit by one of those and then the boss hits you, it's like, okay, well, what the fuck, right? And so, like, the two ways that you solve that are you either make the game so easy that it doesn't matter, or you just expect people to do it over and over. And so, like, I look at a lot of the other, like, impact mechanics and things like that. And, like, for example, the slams, I think they're, like, really not that great. I think that basically, so like there are two things that matter inside of like combat inside of a video game. And I think that it's playability and style. So if you look at the two like kind of very big differences, right, is you have like Dark Souls 1 that has like every game has a style to it, but it's not stylized. Dark Souls 1 really isn't a stylized game. It's a very like grounded, fundamental, like, I guess like European, Gothic, dark fantasy, like fucking medieval game, right? That's it. And then you have on the level of style, you have things like Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, you have Final Fantasy 16, you have like, I would say even Elden Ring, right? I think Elden Ring is like the pinnacle of like 10 on style and 10 on combat quality. Like, I think also like Dragon's Dogma 2 is like really high up there. But like if I look at this combat and I compare it to, for example, like the Kadan first Berserker game, I think the Kadan game completely clears this in pretty much all ways. I think that stylistically it's more interesting. I think that visually it looks better. This is kind of messy, in my opinion. And I also think that the mechanics are more easily readable and they look more satisfying. So and Devil May Cry 5, you know, again, like that's I mean, there was literally a style meter in the game. And so I look at this and I think to myself, this seems like a game that I'll play, but it doesn't seem like a game that I'm going to have like a lot of really fond memories of in the same way that I do of like Elden Ring or Dragon's Dogma 2 or 1 or Metal Gear Rising Revengeance or Final Fantasy 16, right? Right now, what this seems like is it seems like a generic fantasy, medieval European, you know, exploration game where you fight through a lot of the obvious tropes, and it's just kind of average. It's above average, and like again, as somebody who's the target audience for a game like this, it's still something that I would choose to play. But at the same time, I just don't really see it being a, you know, this isn't a game of the year contender, right? At least not based off of this combat. I've always thought, and this is, I think, maybe an unpopular opinion, but I think that 2015 was a really long time ago. And when people talk about how great it's not Dragon's Dogma, Black Desert Online combat is, I think that if you actually compare it to a lot of the modern, like, you know, combat games, some of the combat games are garbage, but some of them are absolutely not. And I don't think that Black Desert Online's combat has evolved and is as nearly as good as people think that it is. I think that it's very clunky. I think movement in this game feels kind of, it looks like it's stilted, right? It's like, you know how like in Dark Souls 1, you could only move in 8 directions? It's like, it's not omnidirectional. I think this game is going to have kind of the same feel to it, but it's going to lack the methodical, like, playing chess, almost turn-based aspect of Dark Souls 1, because it's just going to have the fast-paced combat, except for you're still playing with these ankle weights on. And so, yeah, 8 equals omni. No, I said it didn't have omnidirectional. That's what I said. And so, yeah, that's the way that I feel about it. And, yeah, and to be fair, it doesn't need to be peak. A game doesn't need to be peak, but I think that if they want to make that, like, I'm giving feedback on the game. I'm saying, like, this is good enough for me to buy the game. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I'll buy this game, I'll play this game. Even if I wasn't a streamer, I would buy and play this game. Sure. But, like, the level of excitement that I would have for it would not be, like, where, like, with Black Myth Wukong or Dragon's Dogma 2 or Final Fantasy 16 or obviously Elden Ring. I feel like I use it so much, it's, like, overused. Like, it's not like a game that I'm counting down the days for and I'm, like, watching every update about and thinking about, you know, Monster Hunter Wilds. Yeah, I'm not thinking about it that way, you know? And so, yeah, that's fine, though. Not every game can be that good. No, but I think that the game does take unnecessary L's with certain things, like just the way that hit collision works in this game, I think is kind of mediocre. And I think that they really should go back to the drawing board and think a little bit about how hit detection and combat works, because I don't think BDO is as good as the player base thinks that it is. I don't. I think that, like, there are certain things about BDO that are phenomenal and amazing, but if you made BDO again in the year 2020, like, basically, BDO's combat, when it came out, it was like Elden Ring. It was fucking insane. It was fucking amazing. It was unbelievably fucking amazing. But that was a long time ago. And it's not there anymore. And I think that it's evolved. Was. Yeah, exactly. 2014? I don't remember. It was when I played it when it came out in the West. So I'm not sure exactly. But that's generally what my opinion. Which particle effects should we put in the game? The answer is yes. Yeah, exactly, right? Videos dragged down by an exhausting grind. Yeah, but I think gameplay matters the most. Gameplay is always what matters more than anything. But again, like, my expectation was, like, very high. Now it's slightly lower, but it's still high enough to where I would be excited about the game, just not that excited. Why are we comparing an MMORPG to a single-player action game again? Let's compare BDO's combat to WoW or Final Fantasy XIV. I mean, I'll tell you this. I think Classic WoW's combat is better than Final Fantasy XIV or BDO. I do. I think it feels better. Like, for example, like there's like little things in BDO where it's like you can't move diagonally as fast as you can move in forward. That to me feels really bad to play. Period. It just doesn't feel good to play. Like, that's it. The comparisons are unnecessary. No, that's it. Get good. Well, I would say that they should get good and make a direction system that feels better to play. Yeah, real life movement? No way. That's a terrible argument. Real life movement in a game with dragons? I don't want to hear about how things are real life movement. It doesn't feel good to play and it sucks. You hated BDO from the start? No, I didn't. I was level 54 when 55 was the level cap. I was in the top, like, I would log in and I would be on the growth board. I played the fuck out of the game. Like those Sousons or whatever the fuck, like, I lived there. There's never a level cap. No, see, this is, people don't understand. There was a level cap. It just wasn't a hard cap. So basically, there were 3 different level caps. 50 was the level cap, 50 was the soft cap, and 55 was effectively the hard cap. Like, there was always soft cap. See, people like don't even know what you're talking about. Yeah, trash game you played. When was the last time you played? It doesn't matter. Like, what I'm saying is that I've seen combat for the game nowadays. It's not there. Movement's probably more realistic. That doesn't make it more fun. Yeah, exactly. And so that's the way that I look at it. And I think that Crimson Desert, as I said, you know, it's okay, but not great. Anyway, we'll move on. You hit a nerve, it seems. There's a lot of BDO players that think that their combat is really good. And I think that a lot of people like to talk about how bad WoW combat is. But I actually think that classic WoW's combat has aged better than any other MMO. I think that it has. I think it still feels really good. And I think that, to me, like, fluidity of motion and responsiveness of gameplay are the 2 main things that I grade gameplay off of. Not necessarily, like, what wins in a fight. Because, like, that's all balance, right? Is that biased, though? Well, I mean, wouldn't it make sense that the game that I thought was the best would be the game that I would play the most? I mean, I feel like that's what a normal person would do, right? Like, why would I play the game a lot? Why would I play, like, if I thought the game wasn't good, why would I be playing the other game? So, yeah, opinion's a bias. Of course it's a bias, right? Yeah, but I played these other games, and I just think this is the superior one. So, yeah, you're just talking from nostalgia, to be honest? I really don't think so, man. I really don't. And I know that some people feel that way, but I feel like games that have really great movement, like, for example, I think that, I think Elden Ring has incredible movement. I think Sekiro has incredible movement. I think WoW has incredible movement. Well, let me think of a couple of other games. Warzone has incredible movement. Apex Legends has incredible movement. Like, Counter-Strike, I think, has incredible movement. Yeah, No Rest for the Wicked's movement's actually very good, too. Like, so I think that movement inside of a video game is incredibly important. It's tremendously important. Overwatch movement is S tier. It absolutely is. So yeah, it's like, to me, if moving around in the video game doesn't feel good, then the video game doesn't feel good. That's the way I feel. So yeah, First Descendant 2. Yeah, that's great movement as well. Let's see here. BDO and WoW are just so different, though. I know that, but what I'm saying is that Crimson Desert is obviously styled off of BDO's combat, and what I'm saying is that that stylization has aged because BDO has aged. That's my point. I have a girlfriend.